Hey folks, I apologize, we messed up our setup, so we can't go live with our normal equipment, so we're going to be using a phone. Rabbi is going to be teaching right here in just a few minutes, so we're going to get this set up and we're going to get going, okay? Glad to have you guys with us.
Okay, so I got my second win. Here we go. 𝐃𝐨𝐽. Now we can actually say it. So you say, 𝐃𝐨𝐽. Shabu Morning. Good. And we're here, right? This is Shabu Morning. We had some worship music, and later we'll eat a little cheesecake and maybe some blintzes. Who knows what blintzes are? Blintzes are amazing. You have to have them, a Jewish dessert. My mom usually makes them. I don't know if she did. But we made it, right? So this is it. This is Shabu Morning. What do you want to do now? I mean, what should we do? We've arrived. This was the whole deal. We had this idea of we'll travel from Mount Sinai, or from Egypt to Mount Sinai, 49 days. And then we also have this awesome thing where Yeshua made possible for us to have the Spirit, and so awesome. That's what we're celebrating, right? No, that's not what we're celebrating. We are remembering that. Well, that's not true. We are celebrating. We're definitely celebrating. But I want to point out that Sinai and the upper room were locations. They were not destinations. Now that sounds kind of confusing, but they were stops along the way of an incredible journey that was going to take place with God. They were stops. Macon, the synagogue, the holiday, the ascension, the 49 days, the whole day. This is not a destination. This is a stop. This is a place where we've been preparing, but what we've been preparing for is much more profound than just to arrive here. Because just like them, and just like at Sinai and Jerusalem, we have to ask the question, okay, we did this, what's next? What's next? There's always something next. We've journeyed together. I've had the opportunity over the last, now 6 weeks, to teach you the things that I love. I can't help it. I love in-depth, deep, tackle the the difficulties of the Bible. I love these things. I love Jewish argumentation. I love Torah study. I love all that. But I can't help it. What I really love is to help people really be the best version of themselves. That's just the thing God made me to do. And so we've done some of that over these Omer counts over the last 6 weeks. But, you know, and actually I will point out that I've done this for a number of years. And this year actually was probably the most memorable to me, but it did not come from Jewish sources. It was a message I taught that was this phrase: don't expect figs in winter. Okay? And it was Marcus Aurelius, actually, the emperor who didn't even like Jews. But Marcus Aurelius and that idea, that has come up more for me. If you don't know what don't expect figs in winter means, then if I do say so myself, you missed out. You need to go back and listen to that message, because I have had more times where that has come up during this Omer count with people where I've said and had the peace to say, I get it. I don't expect what I shouldn't expect, right? So I actually enjoyed this Omer count in a number of ways, but this place, this idea, this holiday, it's really not what we're working toward. It is a celebration. It's a moed. It's an appointed time. It's a time for reflection. But there's a rabbi, a Musar rabbi, Rabbi Luzzatto, who said, there is no end to the matter. What matter? The matter of learning, the matter of elevating, the matter of becoming the person that God made you to be. There is always more to learn. And the better question that we might ask, if we ever think we have arrived anywhere, is to say, why would we want to arrive? I mean, what would we actually be arriving at? The end of our learning, the end of our growth? Of course not. Who would want that in this life? First of all, many people do, because they don't ask questions, but that's not us. We're interested in the journey. So here's what we celebrate, no matter what's next, because if you did any work, actually, any introspective work over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and because of the gifts that we actually are celebrating tonight, we actually know the way forward. We know where we're going, and if I may say this in a very provocative way, what we're celebrating tonight is the fact that we have the answers. We have the answers. And you could be kind of uncomfortable with that. What kind of Shavuot message is this, you ask? The rabbi is sitting here now because I'm tired from pickleball this morning. Sitting here, but this is more appropriate. We should sit when we teach. But I'm standing here telling you, on this day we're celebrating God's Torah and the revelation and the Spirit, that we have all the answers, that you don't need to keep seeking because you have it, you found it. What does that mean? It sounds very much like spiritual pride to suggest that we have arrived. It sounds like I'm telling you to stop studying, to stop praying, because guess what? You know everything you need to know. But in a certain sense, you do. Because if I were to tell you, what if I were to tell you, I guess, that scandalous statement actually contains one of the most beautiful demonstrations of God's love that you've ever participated in. Tonight we're standing in the shadow of two mountains, Sinai and Zion. Mount Zion. Who has been to the upper room in Mount Zion? On Mount Zion, I should say. We're witnessing two expressions of God's amazing love for his people. Torah and Spirit. And in these two gifts, what we find is the key to understanding why it is that you have all the answers within you. I'll try to make some sense of this, because right now, late at night, after some hamburgers and worship music and maybe some wine, this is the point at which you begin to tune out. So tune in, and I just want you to close your eyes for a minute. I want you to picture yourself at the foot of Mount Sinai, and I want you to feel the ground trembling beneath your feet, and your heart is pounding. You've heard a lot about this. Your heart is pounding. The sky splits open. There's lightning. There's thunder. There's shofars. And then silence. And then the voice of God, the creator of the universe. And he's speaking not just to Moses, but to you. The words of Torah, the words of the 10 Commandments, every commandment becoming something that you're hearing the voice of the Creator say. And it was God actually saying something amazing. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I love you so much that I actually wrote it down for you. I wrote down exactly what you need to know, and I'm going to give you my wisdom, and they're going to be words that you can read and study and memorize, and you can pass them on to your children. Now open your eyes. Okay, that was Mount Sinai. And now close your eyes, because we have to go to the other mountain, because God wasn't finished. We fast forward generations, and now we're in Jerusalem, and we're gathered in an upper room with the disciples, and the Master has ascended, and his final words are still echoing. Wait in Jerusalem until you receive the power from on high. You know now that he hasn't abandoned you. You know that there's a promise, but you're still waiting. You're wondering exactly, what is this going to look like? What does this mean? What is this power? You're still uncertain about how everything is going to happen. Something amazing is coming. You can feel that anticipation, but you don't know what it's going to look like. And then the sound, like a rushing wind. And then the fire. It's like fire, but it's not consuming. And suddenly you realize this is the moment. This is the power he promised. The Holy Spirit is moving into your heart, and it's coming to other people, and it's not visiting. It's actually moving in. It's taking up permanent residence within you. And that was God saying, I love you so much that even writing my wisdom down wasn't enough. But because you've declared allegiance to the Son, the Father says, I'll write it on your heart. My Spirit will teach you all things, Yeshua said, John 14. I'm going to become the voice that guides you from within, is what God said. You can open your eyes. These are the two mountains. And do you understand what happened to you at these two mountains, spiritually speaking? You don't. But you do. You didn't receive information. You became the dwelling place there of divine wisdom. It took up residence within you, which is why we say that you have the answers within you. Not because you're self-sufficient or prideful or anything like that. Not that you don't need God, but because precisely on this day, God took up residence with you in a very particular way. He did that from the breath into Adam all the way down the line, but from Sinai and from Shavuot at Pentecost, he took up residence, his infinite wisdom, and he chose to make your heart a dwelling place. And it brings to mind a quote I love from Moshe ibn Ezra. He says, in my body he has kindled a lamp from his glory. It tells me the paths of the wise. And God's word and spirit are within you, and those are the answers that you need, and they are there for you to tap into. And that's actually what we celebrate tonight. It's not just so vague as to say the Torah and the Spirit. It's to say that God put answers within us. Now, to be clear, they're in there, but you don't actually know them yet. There are many things that you will not find until you continue on down the journey, but they're there. God in his infinite wisdom reveals the things you need to know as you walk and as you step in faith, just like Israel as they moved from Sinai, just like the disciples as they stepped out of the upper room. There was much more to do. That was not the destination. It was a stop. But you have the answers. You'll just never understand how incredibly deep they are within you and the extent to which they go. And this is the point of the work that we've done over the past 7 weeks. We've invested ourselves in a soul journey, an ascension, a metaphorical leaving Egypt and a march on toward the better way. And 7 weeks ago, we stood at the beginning of the journey, and then we began to count day by day and week by week. And I don't care if you missed a day or a week or you didn't do it at all. The point is that, here on Shabbat and hopefully on your own outside of here, we actually did do the examination of our hearts. Because that's, I really think, important, that we wrestle with difficult truths about ourselves and face shortcomings and celebrate our growth. And yesterday we celebrated on the 48th day. We celebrated the idea of putting the hand to the plow and not looking back and moving forward, or else your rows end up all crooked and funky and you can't plant anything because nothing grows. To make better choices. And my prayer is that the Spirit that we celebrate tonight brought some things to light for you over the last 7 weeks. If it didn't, that's okay. We'll get another chance. But I hope it did. Because there is an answer to what's next that I asked at the beginning of the message. The last 49 days have been about choosing. We've said that word a lot. The last 49 days have been about choosing. And tonight is about using the gifts, the Torah and the Spirit. And God is speaking, and we thank God that our life is actually a journey with God. And it's full of difficulties. It is. This is life. It's full of difficulties. But He's with us through those challenges. And here's the challenge. Here's the real problem with even God and the idea of free will. He can give you everything you need to succeed, but He can't force you to use it. He can give you the tools, but He can't force you to use them. That's up to you. And that's your choice. Sort of. Anyone read Everyday Holiness by Alan Morinus? You should if you haven't. It's incredible. It's about Musar, but I want to read you something. When I say it's sort of your choice about whether or not you want to use the tools that God has equipped you with, here's a quote from Morinus in that book where he says, "When you let your path of growth unfold without any guidance from your wise self, what that means is the part of you that is informed by God, that's informed by the mitzvot and by the Spirit. When you do that, when you let your path of growth unfold without any guidance from your wise self, you let God wring change from your heart, most often by applying a tourniquet of sorrows." Do you hear that statement? The alternative is to enter consciously into a path of self-transformation through deliberate spiritual practice. This is the real choice that confronts us. Go through life blindfolded, banging and scraping along all the corners and edges and finding your direction by what you bounce off, or methodically working to lift the veils that obscure clear sight and wise guidance, so that the path of life is pursued with grace and wisdom, which is what God has given you and placed within you through the Torah and the Spirit, to which we've arrived at this point tonight to celebrate, to embrace, and to use from this day forward. That's what we've ascended to. Not another festival, not another fun time, not another celebration. All those things are great, and I'm happy to be doing them. But to these choices you make, about whether or not you'll go through blindfolded and banging, or if you'll tap into the tools that God gave you. The relationships that need mending, the decisions weighing on your mind, the future that you're trying to discern, all of these. You're not alone in your wisdom. When I tell you that you have the answers, it's not because you can look in the mirror and ask. It's because you can tap into the deep supernatural wisdom and insight that's within you, and God will reveal it to you. When you face a difficult conversation with your spouse that may have gone terribly bad before, you have wisdom for that. When your faith feels shaken, you have wisdom for that. When your children need guidance, you have wisdom for that. When your career stands at a crossroads, you have wisdom for that because God gave it to you. It's what we celebrate. That's what we're going to do tonight. And so here's what I want you to do tonight. Tomorrow is, well, it's technically Shavuot, but when I finish and before the breakouts and or whenever, it doesn't matter. It has to happen before sunrise. And here's the reason why. When we finish, I want you to find a corner or a space or whatever and ask the question. What must I change or begin? What must I change or begin? And you have access to the answers. And instead of saying, well, I don't know what to do, I want you to ask a question. God, what are you telling me to do through the gifts that you've given me of the Torah and the Spirit that I already know I need to do? Because you do know. You do know. Most of us are always at some, not a crisis point, but a crossroads. Many of us always have a decision. There's something, we feel something bigger in our lives, and we need to take a different path or whatever, and we wrestle over these things. So tonight we're going to ask, what do I need to change or begin? And the answer is within you because God put it there. So tomorrow, before the sun comes up, I want you to do something that connects you to the very soul of Shavuot and the Jewish people. For thousands of years, Jewish communities around the world have marked Shavuot morning as a very, very special time of prayer and reflection, a very auspicious time for God to hear. Why? Why is that? Why dawn and why this particular morning? Shavuot celebrates two amazingly great moments. Do you know when they happened? Might you guess? In the morning. Thank you, Ellen. At Sinai, Moses rose early in the morning to meet with God on the mountain. And the tradition teaches that Israel was prepared. In the early morning, the world was quiet. The people's hearts were ready to receive this divine wisdom. And in Jerusalem, we know Peter said, how can you think they're drunk? It's only the third hour. Right? But they probably assembled much earlier than that in the upper room to pray and seek wisdom at an auspicious time in Jewish history where the commandments of Torah had been given and the voice of God could be clearly heard. And we don't know the exact moment that the Spirit fell, but we do know they were prepared. They were praying and ready. There's something profound about dawn. It's a reminder that God brings light into the darkness every day. Each new day is a gift. And on Shavuot specifically, remember at dawn, both of these great dawns in our spiritual history. Hi, Dawn. When God's voice broke through the silence at Sinai, and when His Spirit broke through to dwell with His people in Jerusalem. So our ancestors have always known that. And Shavuot morning carries this very special openness between heaven and earth. And it's not because of mystical formulas, but because this is the day God chose to speak most clearly twice. This is special. And if God spoke then, why wouldn't He speak now? And why wouldn't He speak to you? So tomorrow morning, before the sun comes up, it's a big ask because there's no telling what time you're going to get in bed tonight. But before the sun comes up, I want you to step outside. I'd love to know tomorrow the percentage of you that actually do this, but when the sun comes up, I would love it if you were standing outside where you could see the sun in your backyard, your porch, wherever, somewhere, and stand there in that quiet moment between night and day. And remember, this is the morning that echoes two of the greatest mornings in the history of God's people. And as the sun breaks through, and hopefully you can see that, I want you to make your request known to God. Not for really even new guidance, but for awakening the guidance which is already within you. The guidance which He made possible. And thank Him for trusting you with His Spirit and trusting you with His Word. And thank you for making Him your partner in this world, because that is what you are. And many people think that sounds vain, but that is what we are. Co-creators with God in the world. And He's equipped you with those tools. So I want you to make note of your request, and may it be in accordance with His perfect will for your life, and that auspicious time, that this will be a request that comes to pass. But regardless, by the work we've done here this year, I hope that we'll be stronger and better and closer and higher. And we'll commit to doing it again next year. Because remember, the journey does not have a destination. Actually, it sort of does. The journey is your life. This is a stop along the way. God will reveal the answers to you through His Torah and through the Spirit. And one day we will actually arrive. There is a destination. Our final destination will be with Him. But for now, He is with us in so many ways, even within us. And I think we lose sight of that. But this is the day to remember it, to embrace, to pause at the foot of this spiritual mountain moment of Shavuot, to thank Him. And this is a moment. It is the moment, I hope, for someone. So tonight we celebrate that He's given us all we need. Hag Shavuot Sameach.
Hag Shavuot Sameach.
Thank you. I am so incredibly grateful and thankful to announce that now other people will be taking over. There is a men's group, a breakout session that will occur now in the sanctuary. Darren will lead that. There is a ladies' breakout group that will meet in the library. Cheryl Myrick will lead that. College and career, Wes and Miranda Jones will lead that here. Teens, Nick Tinney and Ellen Reagan will also lead that in the tent. And children, Sabrina Huckey, Pavilion, and Green Space. That's where you guys are going. Now, a couple of last minute things. Where's Lydia Grace and who's my other? Olivia. Hurry, come on, quickly. These people are tired. We got to get them home. Not really. Where's Christy Holtz? Is she in here? I don't see Christy. Where is she? All right. Well, the good news is that the kids at Camp Sadi received a serious blessing because, as I told you, we ran a Camp Sadi fundraising event with the handmade quilt that Christy made, which these young ladies are hanging up. And we have a winner, actually, sort of a winner, because here's what I want to do. We have a top bid on this, and I told you this on whenever it was, that we're funding kids going to Camp Sadi. We have our top bidder, and this is the last thing I'm going to do tonight, okay? We're going to continue this auction. I've always wanted to do this. Hey, now I got 55. I got 500 over here to put on. I see your hand over there. Actually, Doug Haygood. Where is Doug? Is he still here? Okay, they left. Okay. Doug put in a very generous bid of $500 to send kids to Camp 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, and so Doug's going to be cuddled up under this blanket, and most of all, it's about the generations that come after him. Last but not least, thank you guys. You did a great job. Now you can fold it up very nicely. Last but not least, we're not done by any stretch. But on the table over here in those baskets, because after services tomorrow, we'll be sending you out with a blessing. Tonight you can grab a little parting gift, which is some beautiful little Shabbat candles that you can take home from Shalom Macon with a little bit of aromatic wonderfulness in them, and it will remind you of your time here if you're a traveler. So let me just say, I'll see you tomorrow, of course. But thank you guys. It's such an incredible honor to be with you. All right, so men, sanctuary, ladies, library, college and career, the tent, teens, the tent, children, you're going with Mrs. Hucky to the pavilion and green space.
Thank you guys for being with us. Shabu Morning, and we will see you. See you soon.
𝐷𝐿 Sukkot. That's later. Come to Sukkot. 𝐷𝐿 Shabu Morning.
Yes. Okay. Catch us on our next live stream at 12:30.